Hello, everybody. This is Football Psych, and this is Coach Boy.
And it is large Sarge.
All right, Large Sarge. Well, hey, it's another edition of the Commanders edition of Football Psych, and we are getting ready for mandatory mini camps coming up here. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty excited. For those of you who do not know, they start tomorrow. They will run from the 10th through the 12th. Our teams will be here. It is a mandatory session, and there are a couple question marks of a couple players on whether or not they are going to actually show up to this mandatory training camp or not. Mini camp. Two players to be watching out for. One, wide receiver Terry McLaurin.
I was going to guess that one.
Because he is maybe holding out a little bit because of a contract dispute during the last day of OTAs of the voluntary workout. He left practice early to send a signal that he was not happy about his contract. There is salary cap space. He wants a new deal. He wants to get it done, and they are waffling around on it. So we will see if he is a show up for practice tomorrow. The second name you got to watch out is Marshon Lattimore. Marshon Lattimore was absent during voluntary OTAs. This was not uncommon from his practices that he did in New Orleans. But there was a lot of teammates that were pressuring him to show up because of his injuries last year, his inability to gel with the team. He only played in 5 teams last year, and coaches were already saying he needs to put in the work. So a lot of expectations that even though it was voluntary that he would show up, and he chose not to.
Prima donna.
So 2 players to watch and what impacts that those will have for the team. We will see what that happens. Did you have any other news that you want to come over there, Large Sarge?
Well, so yeah, let's dig into it. The rumor mill up here is going psycho over McLaurin. It is absolutely every news network is picking it up. The Patriots look like the ones that want to put an offer out to Terry, and they're willing to pay him.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So I would say the head shed for the Commanders is tonight is in crisis mode because they need to figure out what they're doing with their star receiver, and they need to do it yesterday. And he is not going to show up tomorrow. That's the rumor. Nope. He is like, till you pay me what I'm worth, I'm not coming.
So the question is,
the games have begun with Terry McLaurin.
So I'm kind of curious. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of curious on what he thinks his value is and what his actual market value. I mean, have you heard anything reported on that?
I have not got a read on that. I think that's behind the door negotiations, but it's more than what he's making now.
So what he's currently due to make now is $25.5 million. And I saw some reports that he's probably worth somewhere around the $30 million range, which is not huge from 25.5 to that. When you're talking about those dollars, okay, you up it up there. You don't have to pay all that money in 1 year. You can spread it out. You know, he's probably looking for maybe 3-year deal. He's looking for what?
$40 million. No, that's me. I'm telling you. He wants 40? Yep. That's my outside guess. Yep.
He ain't going to get 40.
We're going to get 30. I'm telling you, behind the scenes, they're looking at $35 to $40 million. Not 30.
Nah, and I'll tell you that they won't do it. I mean, he's going to be 30 years old. If that's the question, that would make sense why Adam Peters would be like, nope. I need to really look at this. And if New England is willing to pay it, then now we're talking draft capital exchange. I mean, Patriots, give me up some draft picks.
And they're going to have them to do. So, yeah.
Now, it might sound heretical to fans that are out there that I would even contemplate on being up Terry McLaurin. But when you have a 30-year-old receiver and he wants to break your bank, if that's true, right? Like, if that's true. But if it's somewhere reasonable, then just get the deal done, right? Because he is a fan favorite. I would be looking at maybe a 3-year deal because when a player gets around 33 as a receiver, it's not looking so great, right? And so the question is, and there are other receivers that are out there you could possibly get, but the question is how much is too much? And if his stock's high right now, which I arguably would say his stock is very, very high right now, then why not? Why not entertain? It doesn't mean you got to pull the trigger, but why not entertain an offer from the Patriots or somebody? Yeah.
Oh no, I think the game has begun, and I think we're going to see what Dan Quinn does. I don't see any way. They have done so much to get this air raid offense together. I think the entire draft was based around it. There is no way in hell that he doesn't come away with the deal with the Commanders. They're gonna pay him every cent he asks because they're gonna have to.
Well,
they're gonna have to.
I know. All the fans beat me up in the comments. Just go ahead, just start attacking me. I don't care. Bring it on. Listen, I think that there is a point where you can't make a deal. If it becomes too much, and there are other receivers in reaching distance where if you ask, hey, can I get the same level or close to the same level of productivity for far less, would I not take it and also take the draft picks? Adam Peters is a different kind of cat, right? And he's got to be thinking, like, how do I compete this year? But he also knows he has to build a team for the future. He can't keep doing one-year deals year after year with guys and have an old roster. So at least take the phone call. And if I know Adam Peters, he's at least going to take the phone call.
Oh. Why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you? So let me ask you a question. If let's just do a hypothetical. Let's just do a hypothetical. Let's hypothetically say, yeah, they blow it and they let him walk. Whatever. What does our offense look like this year, pass-wise?
Well, I mean, we know we got Deebo Samuel. We know we got Luke McCaffrey. We know we got Noah Brown. We'll get to the rosters. We'll look at the rosters a little bit around here in just a minute. But I want to also try to look real quick on what we're looking at from a wide receiver standpoint.
But Deebo's not a number one, Coach.
He is a number one. He was a number one in San Francisco.
Yeah, he's not a number one.
You don't think so?
No, he's a. If I had Deebo, he'd be my slot man. Be honest with you, short outs and slots and out of the backfield. He is not a stretch to defense number one. Speed.
So there's like you could go out and get an Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper would be a good guy to go out and potentially go get.
Trade up, yeah. That would make sense to me, right?
There's no trading up. I mean, he's a free agent. You just go out and sign him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that would make sense. Somebody that has enough speed to stretch the D, yeah.
I mean, would I want Amari Cooper and Deebo Samuel? Yes.
I'd take it, right? I'd take it. I'd say that's a good one too, right?
And you could probably get Amari Cooper for about maybe $12 million a year.
Yeah, a hell of a lot less than what McLaurin's asking.
Right. And then you got to just ask yourself, that's a huge delta in price tag, but is it that much of a delta in production?
Right.
Right? Because if it's close in production, why not, right? So
now the thing is, McLaurin's healthy, right?
Yeah, McLaurin's healthy.
Stayed healthy all last year. He's healthy. That's in his favor. That's a value add, not a value to detract, right? For any player, right? So I mean, as far as a bargaining chip goes, he's got all the chips on his side of the table for at least a pay increase.
So I've got it right here. So Amari Cooper, actually his value is around $19 million. So Amari Cooper would come in about $19 million as his AAV, which is his average annual value, which is his market value, is roughly around $19 million a year. So that sounds like a lot, but he's about the same age as Terry McLaurin. Mm-hmm. I would argue could probably get close to the same numbers, but $18 million sounds a whole lot better than $30 to $40 million.
Exactly. And you know what? They might just say, you know what? Take your walk. Go see if you want to catch passes from an unproven guy versus our ace in the hole quarterback.
Yeah, and with Amari Cooper coming, I mean, he's a Cowboy, right? He's historically a Cowboy, but he spent some time. He spent some time in Buffalo, and maybe he might go, I still want to be with a competitor, And the Washington certainly is a competitor if he believes he can be that piece.
Coach, who doesn't, as a wide receiver in the NFL, who doesn't want to catch a pass from Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, for real, right?
That is like a huge incentive to play for the Commanders. You're going to get the hottest rookie. Now he's a junior, but you're going to get the hottest quarterback in the NFL, the hottest.
Yeah.
To throw you the ball? Yeah, if I'm a baller, that's the guy I want throwing me ball. I want to play for him. I want to work with him.
So it's an intriguing question. I'm curious what fans might think that's out there. Would you sign an Amari Cooper for like $19 million a year? Let Terry McLaurin go in a trade to like the New England Patriots to pick up additional draft capital? Because this team needs it. Get some draft capital. We can get some youth in here and get a guy like Amari Cooper. And would you run with that?
Now, what do you think we could get for McLaurin? Let's say the Patriots, because that's the one that was all over the news. What do you think they could give up? What is he worth? If you were trading for McLaurin and you thought he was a key to your offense and you had the money to pay what he wanted, what would you give up in draft cap when you have so much? Is he a second round, a third round pick? A second and a seventh, a second and a fifth, a third and a fourth?
I would probably say a third and a fifth, maybe.
Dang, that's a low stock.
Really?
Not even a second round? Certainly not a first round, right? You're not going to give up a first round.
A second round straight up, maybe. You're not going to do a first round because he's 30 years old, right? You might be able to get a second. You could probably downgrade to a third and a fifth. Maybe a third and the fourth if you're giving like a sixth back or something, or a fifth back.
So if you were sitting in the catbird seat with the Commanders and you could trade with the Patriots, what would you try? Would you try for a second round, or would you want to get like two picks? I
would actually do a lot more analysis. Like, I'm going off the top of my head, right? So I'm going to go through a lot more analysis of what similar trades are, because it's kind of like doing an appraisal of a house, right? You try to find out where someone's value really is in draft capital. Yeah. So there's a lot more analysis that goes into that. But yeah, obviously you're going to try for the best that you can get. It's unreasonable to think that you're going to get a first rounder. That's not going to happen. But yeah, of course I would try for a second round pick. I would test the waters a little bit, like, hey, what would you be willing to give? They're going to come in with some low ball offer. You're going to be thinking higher, like a second, and then that's when the negotiations start, right?
But I mean, would it be more valuable to you to get rid of he's a premier receiver in the league, uninjured premier receiver, right? So that just has a lot of weight, right? And he's healthy and he's fast, and anywhere he goes, he will be an ad, right? So would you, where the Commanders are at right now, would you be more interested in getting more depth, like multiple picks at a lower level, or go for the highest pick level you could get? What do you think would be more beneficial for the Commanders for the next year?
Well,
if we were talking about actually trading,
Adam Peters uses a different strategy than I do, so it's very, very hard to determine what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe in going high, thinking that you can always trade down and pick up more picks.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But Adam Peters doesn't operate that way. Case in point, he took Connerly in the first round this year, where I told you if Malachi Starks was off the board and James Pierce was off the board, I would have traded back out of the first round. Those guys came off.
Jeff is saying,
so like I said, if that point happened, my position would have been to trade back. And if I would have traded back, I would have picked up more picks, and I would have had more players going into the locker room this year. Okay, I see what Jeff says, because as we were going to say, he said more picks, but see, you get more picks if you trade back, right?
I kind of agree with you, though, Coach. Take the highest pick you can get, because you can always trade that pick to get more picks.
Right.
I saw you do it in Madden. I hate to say it, but I learned this art in between the offseason on picks from watching Coach Mad Mike. We were playing the Lions as a franchise, and I watched him through several seasons become a pick master, turning one pick into 5 picks and getting depth.
And people go, well, hey, it's Madden. It's not that realistic, right? Because people say, well, it's Madden. It's not that realistic. I've seen teams do it in the NFL. I've seen teams take a first-round pick, trade back on it, then take one of those picks and trade back on it, and then take one of those picks and trade back on it, and they do pick up 4 or 5 picks out of it. Mm-hmm. And so it does happen. But I've also seen the reverse thing happen, too. I've seen people give up, like you remember the Herschel Walker deal where they give up an entire draft class to go get him.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, you've seen both extremes happen in the National Football League. But I believe in getting the best value you can possibly get. And then if the guys that aren't in the best interest of your team aren't on the board when you need them, you got to trade back.
Yeah.
I'm hypercritical of Adam Peters, but if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, I don't think Adam Peters has really made a blaring mistake on the job yet, with the exception of one move.
Which is that?
Letting Jeremy Chinn walk. Jeremy Chinn, when he left the team and he signed for $12.25 million over 2 years, we could have definitely afforded him and kept him as a safety in our room. Like I can't believe we let him go.
Well, you know how I feel about
we
that.
We definitely could have afforded him.
I feel there were 2, and you know where those are. It's Chinn. And who else?
I don't know. Who else?
Fowler!
Well, yeah, you're a big Fowler fan. I don't.
I'm not a big Fowler fan. It's just I'm not letting a 10-sack edge rusher go when I don't have anything behind it. If I had one other guy in the wings, then okay, but I don't.
You didn't have a choice. You didn't have a choice.
What do you mean? There's always a choice.
There's not a choice. See, here's the thing. We already talked about Fowler. Fowler came on a 1-year deal. He honored his whole deal. He was not under contract. He wanted to go back to Dallas. He wanted to leave there. He did not want to renew a new contract with Washington.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Point. But
so
we could have put enough money on the table to at least make him confused.
How much are you going to overpay a guy who is a package player who doesn't even start, who's not a starter and doesn't play every down for you? Just because he got 9.5 sacks?
Well, so you offer him that. You work with the man to say, look, we want you here.
He never earned a starting spot either. So it's just like there's not a lot there. Like you got okay, granted, when the limited spots you were on the field, he produced. Is that repeatable? Just because he did it one time?
That's true. And we're going to find out in Dallas, right?
We're going to find out.
We are going to find out. And I'm going to make you eat your words, Coach.
So here's what we
how to use him, but maybe that's because he wants to be there, right? And
he wants to be there.
Yeah.
Jeremy Chinn, we could have convinced Jeremy Chinn to stay. We just didn't offer him enough money. And when we saw the deal that he signed with the Raiders, we could have easily matched that deal.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they were thinking.
Easily.
I really don't understand it.
So to me, that's Adam Peters, like in the little over a year or so he's been on the job. To me, that's his biggest mistake.
Yeah. That was a huge loss for us.
Because I'm sorry, Will Harris is not going to be able to do what Chinn was able to do.
Nope. And Chinn could have trained up the entire team, that side of the team, right?
Yeah. I'm not real happy about it. But we're going to get into a little bit tonight. So welcome for all of you are on the channel. Please make your comments. And there's nice seeing you, Jack. We got to bring you on the show, buddy. So I'm going to reach out to you again. I failed to convince you last time, but I'm going to keep trying to bring you on the show there, Jack. So love to have you on the show. Love to get
Jeff on the show too one time.
Who's that?
Jeff.
Yeah, we'll bring Jeff on the show. We'll definitely bring Jeff on the show too. He is a Jaguars fan, so I'm trying to find the right opportunity to bring him on.
Do we play the Jags this year?
I don't know. Do we?
That would be the best time the week before the Jags game.
But if we don't, we'll still bring Jeff on. Jeff, hey, comment in your section. Would you like to be on the show? Love to be able to have you on there.
Yeah, Jeff, look up and see if we play this year. Do the Commanders play the Jags this year? Because it would be great to have you on the Monday before the Jags game.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeff, just respond to that. If we check the schedule, see if we're playing the Jags. I don't have the schedule in front of me. All right. So Jack says he doesn't know. Jack says no, but Jeff says he doesn't know.
All right.
So anyway, all right. So we're going to get on with it here. First thing I want to bring up is our team depth chart. This is provided to us by Our Lads. So thank you, Our Lads, for providing this data to us. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is exactly how the team sees it, but this is aggregated. And one reason why I like using Our Lads is because they aggregate a lot of their depth chart data based off of buzz that they hear around the league, and they pay close attention to all 32 teams and what their coaching staffs and everybody else is saying. So when somebody catches wind and somebody's told something, they come in here and tweak things. They're also extremely quick at updating these things whenever a player transaction happens. They usually update it the same day that a transaction goes through. So this is what we think, based off of the standings getting ready to go into minicamp tomorrow, of where we think is the starting lineup for the Washington Commanders for this coming season. Now, obviously, if Terry McLaurin gets traded, that changes, right? And we'll be able to give you the updates, right? But based off of the player moves, this is what we have. When you see something in gold, those are guys that we signed or traded for in the offseason and brought them in. If you see them in purple, those are the rookie guys. If you see them in red, well, that's a major injury that we have to keep watch on the radar. And what we mean by major injury is a person who's at risk of losing time in the upcoming season. Whoa, which is where
Cosmi still.
So to remind you, when did Cosmi get hurt? Cosmi got hurt during the NFC Championship game against the Detroit Lions. So when that happened, he got hurt. So he's only 4 months into this injury, and it was a pretty major injury. So what they're saying is he's probably going to be due back sometime relatively early to mid-season. But, yeah, he's missing some major time.
Wow.
He will not start week 1.
That is huge for us.
So the plan right now is very questionable about the starting defensive line. So what we've heard so far through the buzz is that Jeremy Tinzel is going to be the week 1 starting left tackle, assuming he's healthy. And right now he's healthy. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in preseason, right? But Tinzel was healthy today. Tinzel has already been designated the week 1 starter unless he gets injured, right?
Wow.
So that leaves the other positions. And the other positions, because Brandon Coleman was a left tackle last year as a rookie, now in his sophomore year, the plan is to move him to right tackle, where Wiley played, which means Wiley is going to move to right guard. And Wiley is going to be the starting right guard for all intents and purposes because Cosmi's out. That's kind of the plan. Now, our brand new first-round rookie Connerly is going to compete with Brandon Coleman for that right tackle spot. What I'm hearing, and you guys can chime in there, is there is a chance if Connerly is ready to go that Brandon Coleman can move inside at guard. And there's a lot of competition at guard with Wiley filling in for Cosmi, with Nate Herbig, who came over from Pittsburgh, going to compete with Allegretti. Maybe you can move Brandon Coleman to left guard. There's all kinds of mixed matches that's going to happen that gives us very, very solid depth.
Herbig's got to beat out Allegretti. He's got to. We've got to do better than Allegretti.
Yeah. And so we're going to see. I mean, Allegretti's got to bring it because, man, there's going to be like 3 people vying for his job.
Oh yeah, he's going to lose it. My prediction: he loses the job. Seriously.
Wow.
Honestly.
So what I like though is I do like that for the first time in a long time we got kind of a hogs situation going on with this offensive line.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Despite all of our poo-pooing about it, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I poo-pooed on it a lot last year, but it's looking a lot healthier this year. And I do poo-poo on the Connerly choice. I mean, but now that we got him, it is what it is. It does add more to our offensive line. I've got to admit it, right?
We got some youth there, so
yeah, I wouldn't have done it, but okay, now that we've done it, we got to live with it. We're gonna roll with it, right?
Right, exactly. Make lemonade out of lemons, all right?
Yep. From a wide receiver situation, I do love Deebo Samuel being in this mix. I disagree with Shaq slightly. I think Deebo Samuel is the clear number 2 on this team behind Terry McLaurin.
Exactly.
Clear number 2. Like not even questionable. And I like us that we picked up Jalen Lane. Not necessarily the receiver I would have picked because I was tracking a few other receivers I liked a little bit better that were higher on my board. But we went with Jalen Lane. That's who we got. He's going to be competing quite a bit. Right now, as it stands right now, they have Deebo Samuel in the slot. I don't think that's accurate. I think he's the clear number 2 on the outside. That
I would put him in the slot. Listen, I'm with it. I would put him in the slot because it just opens up so much more of a dynamic against the tight end. He's got enough speed to get clear and the muscle, right? And the hands. Oh, it could be dangerous. It could be a real dangerous thing.
It could, but I think they're going to rotate him. I think he'll play some slot downs. I think they'll have him outside, and I think they'll even put him in sweeping motions.
They're going to move him.
Have him all over the freaking place.
But can you imagine McLaurin, Noah Brown, and Deebo on the field, along with any of our tight ends, Zach or Bates?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, or Ben even. But Ben, I just want to see. I actually want to see Ben catch more passes this year.
Ben needs to have a better sophomore year than he did a freshman year.
Yeah, they use him as a blocking guy. You know what I mean? Okay, but give the chance. You know, when he shined.
But to me, your blocking guy is John Bates.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, there's a couple things I'm kind of very interested. I am interested to see how Jalen Lane does. I'm interested in how your boy Luke McCaffrey does in his sophomore year here. I'm very, very interested. Again, I do like Ben Sinnott. I also like Cole Turner, who didn't really make this roster last year, but he's back. Maybe he can fight for it. John Bates is getting older. Zach Ertz is obviously getting older. I was expecting a little bit more to come in on the tight end position, but we didn't do it. But I will tell you that the person to watch on this offense that I'm very, very interested, now that we've kind of rebuilt this offensive line, I'm ready to see if Brian Robinson can be the power back that he's meant to be, the all-purpose, all-around running back that he was always meant to be. Yep. Because if he doesn't, I think this is his last year.
Yes, I agree.
So,
all right, Jeff is saying Trey Hendrickson is refusing to play under his current contract.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals is, but like latest news I heard today is Trey Hendrickson is like they released another tight end that was on the roster that freed up $6 million. And with that release, it could mean that Trey Hendrickson is staying with the Bengals and they will restructure a new contract with him. That's me. The release of the other player to free up that $6 million was a tell sign that they want to keep him.
Okay. Interesting point. Yeah.
So, any thoughts that we were going to do to trade him, I think were unrealistic. We just do not have the draft capital. It would have cost us a lot. Would I love to have him? Yes, but the only way I'd see him coming here is if the Bengals released him, which that's not going to happen. Right? They're going to get this. I think the Bengals are going to get this done. I would expect that deal to be done within the next probably 72 hours.
Wow. Bold prediction.
Bold prediction. I'm saying it right now. He will get signed to a new contract.
Bold prediction.
So you don't cut players at this particular point to free up cap space the day before like mini camps start unless you're trying to work a deal. All right, so this is what our defense is looking like. Some change-ups here that I found relatively interesting. The first one I wanted to talk about was Clelin Ferrell with the signing of Dietrich Wise from the Patriots, who played 8 years for the Patriots. This is the first time he's ever switched a team before. Super motivated about being here. He apparently this coaching staff, somewhat under the radar, sees him as an upgrade to our defensive end position. Something I wasn't even tracking. I don't think anybody in the world's tracking. But for some reason, this coaching staff looks at him as an upgrade to our edge rushing situation.
How is that?
That's a good question. I am not necessarily seeing it, but it's going to be a player to watch in the preseason.
How is that?
So,
I just want to know how that's working. Maybe they like we're sitting out here being pundits on the outside. We're not in that head shed, right?
So I will tell you one of the things that some of the buzz from the coaching staff that I've heard about him is, one, he's very good at run stop. What was one of our problems last year?
Yes, it was.
Run stop. That was one of our problems, right? He's really good at that. He doesn't pressure as much as you would like, which is probably why he's kind of come under the radar. Like, we're thinking pass rush, right? He does have that. He actually performed better than Farrell did on pass rush.
Okay, that's amazing.
So Farrell didn't grade out very well at all when I actually looked at his grades from last year. Farrell did not perform. And I think that's when Fowler was being rotated in, and Fowler actually produced better than him. But Farrell was the starter. So now I think that they're like, okay, we're losing Fowler. Fowler wants to go home. Farrell's not it. Technically, I guess I could see how Wise is an upgrade. I'm not overly impressed with it, but
the run stop is good. So, I guess we'll see it in preseason, right? We'll see it in preseason.
Yeah, and he's super motivated about being here.
Yeah, and you gotta love that.
Gotta love that. The other one that's very, very interesting is Javon Kinlaw. Now, I disagreed with this signing. We signed for 3 years, $45 million. We're going to pay this guy $15 million a year. Like, who the flip is Javon Kinlaw? And I'm just like, seriously? We let Jonathan Allen walk for Javon Kinlaw. And, oh, by the way, Johnny Newton played extremely well last year. Why isn't Johnny Newton in the starting lineup?
I blew my hat off so bad I can't find it.
You just slung that bad boy, huh?
It's
it went down. It completely flew down that football field behind you.
It's gone. We're going naked the rest of the show. Listen, I agree with you 100%. 2 comments from Jim. Coach Mad Mike equals reality.
Aha! Thank you for your support there, Jim.
From Jack. He thinks Luvu is going to be Parsons this year for us.
Oh, I like that one. So I agree. I think Frankie Luvu, now that he's kind of settled down in the system, like he performed extremely well. Like, nobody's going to say like Frankie Luvu didn't do well last year. Frankie Luvu was amazing last year. But you put him a second year in this season, and he knows he's the future leader of this team, because Bobby Wagner, that guy's hanging on year to year, right?
There it is.
The reason why Bobby Wagner's coming back this year is because he led the team in tackles last year. But this is probably Bobby Wagner's last year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Frankie Luvu knows that this is his defense.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So, like, believe me, Frankie Luvu is going to be on fire, because he's going to want to show this coaching staff, I am your leader for this defense.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Totally agree with that, Coach. So, I agree with you. Maybe this like I said, we're not in the head shed, right? We're outside, and we only get to deal with what we see that happens and what news there is out there, right? So it's really hard for us to guess what they're thinking. Last year, we thought we were completely screwed as an offense because we didn't get a tackle, right? And they proved us wrong. I was wrong. Somehow they patchworked things, and we got a rookie of the year quarterback with so many records broken. And you can't, you couldn't have done that if the offensive line was completely broken. Now, what we didn't have was a run game.
Right.
Because we didn't have the tackle, right? which
Right.
would have helped us. It would have helped us, right?
Yeah, it
Once
would.
teams figured out that we didn't have the line and it was a passing game, then they game planned against it and it got tough. But we did the unexpected last year. So maybe defensively, coach, maybe defensively, we're dealing with the same thing this year. Let's, that's Quinn's, that's Dan's background.
Yeah, and I think that he's doing something with the secondary too, because we went out and got Marshawn Lattimore last year, and if he does pan out and have a good offseason, I'm not throwing in the towel on Marshawn Lattimore. I just think he needs a good offseason. I will tell you, I'm upset he didn't go to voluntary OTAs.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are reading a lot into that. But when I went back into history, he didn't do that in New Orleans either. So, like, if he shows up tomorrow, to me, all is well.
But why is he a prima donna? Why be a prima donna?
Some players
is he afraid of getting hurt? Is that
no? Some players, it might not necessarily be prima donna. Some players just truly believe like they know their own body and they work out better on their own. Sometimes there's too much standing around in practice, or there's like these are like 7-on-7 drills. These are stupid. I can get a better workout on my own. Sometimes they'll get together with other players from around the league and they actually put in more intense practices where there's not rules that restrict their level of play. So there's other things that go on that professional players do to make sure they're ready for the season. I will tell you, I've heard players before say like they hate going to friggin' like OTAs because you can't touch nobody because of the league rules. So they'll go and they'll meet on some football field at some high school on their own, and they will freaking get physical with one another, and they think that they can train better on their own. So like you can't underestimate a pro player. And you got to ask yourself, is a pro player better than a pro positional coach? Yeah. The argument is no, a pro player knows what he needs more than a positional coach a lot of times in National Football League.
I'm against any player that thinks he's better than the team. Not to play with your team. It's just, to me, it goes against my grain. It just cuts it just sizzles my grits, Coach Van Mike.
But there's rules in the NFL. I got you, but there's rules in the NFL, right? So, like, if your rules are like this particular practice has to be voluntary and you can't have no contact and you can run wind sprints and you can run routes, but you can't touch nobody. Sometimes players look at it as like, man, this ain't flag football. I ain't showing up for that.
Yeah, it's just me running routes.
Yeah, it's just me running routes and just hang, and some people will be like, well, you're still hanging out with your teammates and you're gelling and you're bonding. And Marshall do a lot of that last year.
Right.
So there's criticism, right? So I don't know. To me, let's see what happens tomorrow. Does he show up or does he not?
All right. Jack's got a question for you, Coach.
Yeah.
My response was, hell yeah. But do you think we're going to be a hybrid defense? And my answer to him was yes. That's exactly what we are.
So we have a tendency to run a 4-2-5. Right. And I don't see a scenario where we're not a 4-2-5. So when we say hybrid, a lot of times hybrid means you're running a lot of like 4-4-3, Tampa 2, nickel, 3 strong. You'll run a lot of these different types of packages. What I saw off of Joe Witt's defense last year is he pretty much ran a 4-2-5, sometimes a 3 strong, but like it was like the 3 strong mostly had to do with injuries. It wasn't because he was really running so much of a hybrid. So it's a very good question. What are we going to do this year? I do think that the 4 baseline will stay the same. It's not like we're going to run to a 3-4. We just don't have the linebackers for that.
No, we don't.
So I think our base. And you see it on the slide too. Our base on here says a 4-2. That really means a 4-2-5. Whether we go 3 safeties or 3 corners, I think this particular defense is set up for 3 corners. I'm not sure I agree that Jonathan Jones is the nickelback that shows on this defense. To answer your question, I believe that all indications are it's going to be Trey Amos whenever he signs his freaking contract, because he still hasn't signed his contract.
Jeez, I know. What the hell? Hey, Shaq is trying to come on. Shaq is out there, guys. We just can't see him. He's trying. I think he might be on his phone or something.
All right, well, go Shaq, come on.
As soon as I see him, he'll be on.
Okay, good. I'm glad good old Shaq is on here because I want him to be part of these conversations. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm seeing this happen. So to answer your question specifically, Jack, I'm not thinking we're going to be as hybrid as many teams think. I'll probably disagree with you guys a little bit on that. I think we're going to pretty much be a 4-2-5, a solid 4-2-5 team.
Well, when I hear when I hear that question, and maybe I'm misinterpreting because I'm just a fan, folks, just a fan. But a hybrid defense means I don't have a set. I'm gonna move players around, and I'm gonna go through different formations. I'm not gonna present as a solid. We're a 4-2-5. We're a 4-3-2. No, we're gonna play situational defense, and I'm gonna throw everything at the wall at you.
I don't see it happening. You're correct on your definitions. I just don't see it happening. I think we're a solid 4-2-5. And the reason why is because it's very, very hard to get out of the 2 formation at your linebackers because you basically got Frankie Lavu and Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
I will tell you one player that we really need to step up, and that's Jordan McGee, but he was dealing with some injuries last year. But he's got to come in and he's got to at least rotate to give him a breather. But we don't have the linebacker core. Like Nick Bellore is a special teams player. We went out and got Kane Medrano in the 6th round. We don't even know what we have in here. Dominique Hampton has been on and off the roster for years. And we got a couple of guys that we just picked up off the street. That's our linebacker core. There's nothing there to work with.
Right.
We literally are going to be stuck with 2 at the linebacker.
If either one of those gets hurt, oh, God forbid.
Oh, my gosh, we're in trouble.
We're in a lot of trouble, right? Right, Coach?
We're in trouble because then you're looking for Jordan McGee. Like, Jordan McGee, you got to start, bro.
Yeah.
And that's not a pretty
depth at linebacker on a 4-2-5. There's no depth. It's those 2 guys, and if we lose one of when we're on, we're dangerous. When they're gone,
that's the reason why
one is gone, we're screwed.
But that's the reason why, to me, I don't think we're a hybrid. I think we are locked into a solid 4-2-5. Now, it doesn't mean that we are not going to be. Shaq just sent a message that says he's here. So if you could let him in, please.
Yeah,
so
he's not there.
I think we are a solid 4-2-5. Now, that doesn't mean that we might not have 3 corners versus 3 safeties. We might play around with that a little bit. We might give them different looks on the line. But the base is a solid 4-2-5, in my opinion. So I would probably need Joe Witt himself to convince me otherwise. And then I'd be like, yeah, stop smoke screening me, dude. I know what you are. I know what you are.
Yeah, and that's the danger, right? We don't have any flex.
Yeah, we don't have no flex. So, like, you are who you are. We're a 4-2-5 defense.
And if one of your guys goes out, we're a 4-1.
Yeah, which you can't do, right? So, like, you're really in trouble.
So, who do we have behind Lavu and Wagner? Like, seriously, let's talk about that.
You got Jordan McGee. That's who you have.
Just one guy?
Jordan McGee. He's the only guy.
Okay, what if both of them get injured?
Yeah, then we're freaking trying to find somebody out there on the street. Like, we're hurting. Like,
but I mean, even subbing. Who do we sub in behind those guys? Because they need a rest. They can't play every down.
Yeah, Jordan McGee is the guy that they want to rotate in. Now they had like Nick Bellore on this depth chart as a back to Frankie Lavu. That's not real. Nick Bellore is a freaking special teams player. That's all he is.
Really?
Kane Medrano is the guy we got, but we got him in the 6th round, and they hype him up like he's a promising young dude. Okay, well, he's got to make this roster first, right? He could be a practice squad player, and we might be looking for players around the league. We might not even be done at the linebacker position. I wouldn't be surprised if we bring another dude in.
So, Coach, how do we go into this season with 2 starters and no backups, or with 1 backup off 2 critical starters of age?
Because you know what? Because it's exactly what we did last year. That's why.
I blew up my hat again.
You blowing up your hat, bro, man. Where
I blew up the hat.
where the heck is Shaq at, man? Did he drop
I don't
off?
know. He's on. He's off. Now he's off. He's gone. But he's
He's having
around.
some
He's
technical
coming,
difficulties.
folks. I guarantee he's going to be on tonight.
Come on, Shaq, man. We miss you, brother. Come on back.
So yeah, we did it last year and we got away with it. Okay, we got away with it. And the fact that Wagner did not get hurt the entire season was just mind blowing.
It's a roll of the dice, thinking that
especially considering his motor and how hard he played. Right?
Yep.
He poured everything, and he did not get hurt. Unbelievable, right?
Yep.
Didn't miss a game. And Luvu the same, right? Didn't miss a game. So, and they both motored their butts off. Hats off to both of them last year, right?
Exactly.
Are we going to be that lucky this year? And what did we do in the offseason to build depth? Sounds like nothing.
What we built off season and depth is we went out with our 6th round draft pick and we got Kane Madrano in the 6th round of the draft.
What is your opinion on him, honestly? Sleeper guy?
I saw a highlight film on him, but you know how I feel about highlight films, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take somebody's entire college career, you make about 7 or 8 clips of their best highlights they did, but you don't see the other 90% of the snaps that they took and how well they play on those. You don't see all the times they got beat on something on a highlight reel.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, until we get this guy in and we see him actually play, I don't know what we got in him. You can't bank a lot on a 6th round draft pick.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I mean, unless they know something that we don't.
You got 32 teams out there evaluating guys. What makes a guy slip to the 6th round? It means he's a pro player. He's got a lot of prospects and potential, but he wasn't at the cream of the crop of his class, right?
Yeah.
So, unless
in their defensive mind, they saw something in this guy that no one else picked up on. And he fell, and this guy's a sleeper, right? He's a sleeper candidate.
And I will tell you, Adam Peters does that. I mean, he ranks his board out of where guys are, and he's going to take the best of player off at the spot when it's his turn to draft. So when the 6th round came along and our draft pick came up, he was number 1 on our board at that time.
And at least they were thinking about Wagner and Luvu, right? They were thinking about him.
Yeah. So to me, one of the things I want to see off of this defense, the pieces that I am very interested in what Weiss really looks like on this team. I'm not necessarily convinced Javon Kinlaw is the starter. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Johnny Newton. I can't believe that they would even do that to Johnny Newton to begin with. But we'll see. Johnny Newton prevailed before when Jonathan Allen was on the roster. So Eddie Goldman, I've always been a huge Eddie Goldman fan, not from his time in Atlanta, but from his time from Chicago before that. Does he still got anything left in the tank? I don't know. But I will tell you, I'm going to be watching out for Wise. I am going to be hypercritical of Will Harris because I do not think he is anything close to Jeremy Shin. And I'm very, very interested in Trey Amos because I think Trey Amos has a great opportunity to work into the starting lineup. And then, of course, Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of interesting pieces about this defense that just leaves question marks.
Yep. Shaq's favorite player. Hey, Shaq, are you in? Do you have audio? I added you. You should be there. I don't see a video on you, but you're in. You're in. Come on. Come on. Good old Shaq. Where are you? He's got to be on the road doing something on his phone. He's trying, folks. He's trying to come on. He's dying to come on. But we just can't seem to get him in.
Yeah, and I see what Jack's comment is about Luvu lining up sometimes on the outside and, maybe coming off the edge a little bit and rushing or stunning to the inside, maybe put some additional pressure on it. And I tell you, they did that a few times last year. They could probably do it a little bit more. It really kind of depends on our other pass coverage schemes that we run and how well we can do and how much of a pass rush we can get. Because when you only have 2 linebackers on the field, sometimes they got to be, step back and they got to read it. And they got to adjust whether or not it's a pass or a run play. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to manage that. Joe Witt's going to have his work cut out, but he seemed to hold up real well last year. So, all right. While you're trying to work with good old Shaq on there, we're going to keep moving here. So right now I want to show you something. We're going to go through these things relatively quick because we've got about 10 minutes left of the show. I showed this slide last year. This slide last week. The slide has not changed. We are currently at $21 million of cap space. You can take a couple $1 million off when we sign Trey Amos, which basically leaves us about $19 million to play with. So I wanted to take a thing because you asked me last week, Large Sarge, well, who can we go out and get? Who's out there in free agency that we can go get? Well, I'm here, Large Sarge, to answer your question this week because I'm prepared for that question this week.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. If we were looking at running backs, this is what we got to look at. And what you see on the right there, you see their projected market value. Now, J.K. Dobbins has been connected to this team a lot to help our running back room. His estimated value, if we were to sign him, is roughly around $4 million. So if we want to sign J.K. Dobbins, it would be about a $4 million contract. And I guarantee you, as a 26-year-old kid, he's not looking for a one-year deal. He's looking for a multi-year deal. And so that's probably what's holding up the situation right now. Does Adam Peters want to sign him to a multi-year contract at $4 million a year?
Well, Coach, I got a question for you. Let's stop. Let's just stop. We got $19 million in the bucket. Can we sign McLaurin or not?
Yeah, you can sign him with that because he's currently getting paid $25.5. How much more do you got to pay him? So, that's part of the calculus, I'm sure, is because his salary will cut into that $19 million based on how much more you want to pay above $25.5. I don't know what Terry McLaurin's asking.
So we take him to, I'm just throwing scenarios. Let's take him to 25. I mean, let's throw 10 million at him. Let's take him to 35.
That'll leave us $9 million.
Which we could sign one of these running backs then.
Well, the running back the only running back on this list that's been tied to this team is J.K. Dobbins, which would cost us about $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
That will leave us $5 million left. But I've got other positions to show you. I want to show you the whole picture of what are the types of players that we are kind of looking at. Okay? J.K. Dobbins.
Let's do it with the idea in mind that we're going to pay McLaurin 35. We're gonna lop 10 off for him, leaving us with 9. Let's look at it that way, right? Because that's kind of realistic.
That's realistic, and that's probably what Adam Peters is facing. So if he's really thinking I got about $9 million to play with, who am I going to sign for $9 million? Now we know that he's had conversations with J.K. Dobbins' agent, probably exploratory. How much money would he want? What kind of length of a deal is he looking forward to? Is he willing to come in and compete with Brian Robinson? That kind of thing. So, interesting perspective. Let's go to the next one. The next one here is guard. The reason why I bring up guard is because Sam Cosmi's out. And, yeah, we talked about our offensive line, but there's a guy out there that has a huge history connection with this team that was a Pro Bowler when he was with us, and that's Brandon Schreff. Now, his estimated value is less than $7 million. So if we went out and got Brandon Schreff, that would be $7 million. But if you go and get Brandon Schreff, then of course you don't have J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I would like to see Schreff on the team. Oh, that would be dangerous.
But that would leave you with about $2 million left in the bank.
Right.
Right. So that's an option. Here's another option: edge rushers.
The most important one that we want.
Right. Now, there's a name on here that has been tied to this team, and that's Matt Judon. Matt Judon from the Atlanta Falcons. He would be 4.2. Now, if you're thinking about the 9 scenario, you can get J.K. Dobbins and you can go and get Matt Judon, and you can fit both of their salaries under the $9 million. Interesting perspective. But then you don't get Brandon Schreff. Right? Here's another option.
No, I would love for us to get Judon. Judon would be a major add to the team.
So here's another one.
We don't do anything else. Just
here's
get
another
Judon.
one. Yeah. So here's another one. Asante Samuel. Asante Samuel has been sometimes a tag to this team too because he's young, he's very versatile.
Yeah.
He would want a multi-year deal, but his contract value is worth over $11 million, which we don't really have. We would have to cut in the part of what we would have to offer Terry McLaurin to squeeze it in and make it work.
Yeah.
But then we wouldn't be able to get anybody else.
All right. So what would you rather if you were
I'm not done yet before you ask that.
All right, man. You throw a lot of options out there.
Then you got the safety situation. If you don't believe Will Harris is the Jeremy Chinn replacement, there's been Julian Blackmon. There's also been Justin Simmons that's been tied to this team. If you went with Julian Blackmon, he would cost you $8 million. If you went with Justin Simmons, it would be a little less than $6 million per year. Again, we have $9 million to play with. So you see all the options and all the decisions that we have to be. I know Adam Peters is scratching his head. Who out of all these options would I sign, knowing I got to get a Terry McLaurin deal? But what piece is going to help me win?
Man, so Coach, that's why you're the coach. This analysis is insane. Here's the fans' view: give Terry 35, get Judon, and get that running back, and blow your budget to nothing. Zero it out. Get those guys in the door. Hell yes. That would be amazing.
So let me give you a different scenario.
No.
I want to give you a different scenario.
There it goes again. Another scenario.
Another scenario. Let me give you another scenario. We were talking about it earlier. All right. What if we went with Amari Cooper at $19 million?
No, that doesn't work.
And let Terry McLaurin go to the Patriots for draft capital. You get additional draft packs. You, instead of paying 25.5, you're only paying 19. So you save up another $5 million of available cap space, pick up draft picks, and maybe you can get a couple of these players.
We could get 3 that you just named that way. We could get 3.
But you would need to, because you can actually go and get
Judon.
You can get Judon. You're also getting Amari Cooper.
Yep.
And then you can pick J.K. Dobbins, and maybe you can even pick
the defense.
Maybe a safety on here, like what we have on here, like maybe Justin Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons. Oh man, I love that. I love that deal. I would do that deal every day of the week and 3 times on Sunday. And I work on Sunday.
Yeah. So think of this. Think of Judon. Think of J.J. Dobbins. Think of Amari Cooper and Justin Simmons, and picking up additional draft capital.
That to me would be an insanely good. See you later, Terry.
It's just very, very interesting discussion.
Wow. You literally just blew the top off my head. Wow.
You know how I am about offseason and making deals.
Yeah. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Because I do this at Madden all the time. So I wanted to be able to give people like something that other shows aren't showing, right? Like, why watch Football Psych? It's because I want to bring you guys this kind of analysis to get you to think about like the possibilities of what a general manager probably is going through. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he's trying to analyze all this kind of stuff. He's trying to squeeze every penny out of that salary cap. He's trying to determine, do I renew Terry? And because like, it's not going to be a popular move to trade him. Like the backlash that Adam Peters is going to get from the media and the fan base by trading Terry McLaurin is not going to be pretty. Right? So he's thinking about all of these things.
Yeah. So got a couple comments I got to address with you. First, Jeff, Emmett was a Florida Gators. Of course, he's brilliant. Journey D is out there saying, "Let me in." Well, you're not there for me to let you in.
He is now. Hold on, I'm bringing him in.
Wait a minute. He's back. He got in. There he is.
Hold on, I got to switch to the right screen to bring him in.
Yep.
Hold on, where is he? Good old Shaq. Where are you, bro? Are you there?
Finally. All right, and as we're doing that, Coach, as he's coming in,
he froze up again.
He's got something to say about the Dobbins. I got something to say, and I might hear Dobbins auntie, which I don't understand. And then Jack says, if you did trade Terry, ridiculous too, I agree. but what draft picks would you get from? We already addressed that, Jack, earlier in. We would be going, we decided Coach Mad Mike would say take the highest draft pick possible and number 2. And that gives you the opportunity to trade down if you need to. And I was more of like get more draft picks in the 3rd and 4th round. That was our answer to that one. So yeah, Shaq, you're in, and we don't see you, and we cannot hear you, my friend.
He just dropped off. So
he's having problems. He's got to be on his mobile or something.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I want him on here so bad.
Oh my Lord!
But anyway, yeah, Jack, that's a very good question. Like, again, I don't have the analysis in front of me to figure out what his true draft capital grade would be because, as a fan, we judge based off of performance. General managers use a lot of other factors like age. They put bell curves on players to kind of see where their draft capital and stock is. I would try for a 2nd round pick. It could be a 3rd and a 5th. It's just really, really difficult. Obviously there's some kind of trade space in there. I would want the highest pick I could plus a pick, even if it's in a later round. So even if I can work a 2nd round pick, I'm just like, I'm not going to settle for a 2nd. I'm going to try to make a 2nd and a 6th or a 2nd and a 7th.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to I'm always going to try to squeeze another pick out somewhere, right?
So Jack, I'm going to disagree with your statement that it's not ridiculous to consider trading Terry McLaurin based on what coach is telling me. If we could trade Terry McLaurin and free up cap space, pick up Amari Cooper, who will give us the same stretch, pick up draft picks and free up to get 3 other players that we actually really need to round out our D. Yeah, I could see that one. I totally get where coach is coming from. That could be insanity right there, really.
Now, I'm telling you that comes with risk, right?
Of course.
The fan base is not going to be happy with trading it.
Just no.
Right? So as a general manager, you got to know you're going to get backlash.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? So then you're really making like, man, Amari Cooper comes in and is like, boy, you need to freaking produce, dude. Because, man, my freaking butt's on the line.
Yep.
Like, I gave up Terry McLaurin, and I'm trusting you. You need to perform.
Yep.
Right? Here's the other thing is you got to hit on those other players, too. You got to let the fan base see, like, your vision of all these Wheeling and Dealing moves is that they pan out, right? So bringing Judon in, if that's who it, J.K. Dobbins better run his butt off too, and he better freaking pan out. And if you bring Simmons in, and because to me, I think Adam Peters might have screwed up with this whole Jeremy Chin thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally, he did.
So that's probably the first major mistake that he's made.
So, Coach, but the way you're talking really talks to how Shaq sees the team. That we're older, and doing that kind of a move would get us younger.
It does make us a little bit younger. When it comes to Amari Cooper's basically the same age as Terry McLaurin.
Right.
But you're getting other younger players around him. I mean,
right.
Simmons is still up there in age. He's 31.5, so you're not getting anything there. But if we go back and we look at Judon also is up there at 32.8. So he's an old man. So you're not getting younger there. But where you are getting younger is at the running back position. You are getting J.K. Dobbins, who's 26, right? So it makes it interesting. And Lard Sarge just came off my screen too, so it seems like everybody's having a little bit of technical difficulties. What's going on, Lard Sarge? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, we lost your screen.
Yeah, I'm recovering here. Just give me a second.
All right. So my supporting cast
can you hear me?
Killing me.
Can you hear? I have no idea why I lost camera. I lost camera, and I have no idea why.
Well, I tell you, we're about ready to wrap it up. So, because we're over an hour. So I just want to tell the fans, listen, I love your support. Please invite a buddy. Another football buddy out. Tell them about the show. Tell them to get the butt on here so we can talk trash. We definitely would love to have you guys on here. But I sure appreciate you, Jack and Jeff, and for participating. Anybody else who's listening in, sure appreciate you guys' participation. I'd love to get Jack. I'd love to get Jeff on the show. I'll send you guys emails. Let's make it work. Let's try to make it happen. I'll send you text messages. All right. But other than that, Large Sarge, we are just about out of here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, folks.
You're here.
You
All
can't
right.
see me, but I'm here. I am here.
And we are out of here, baby.
Woohoo!
Let's go.